So, in our final discussion of the evening, we will look at the issue of hate crime. We're joined again by Chris Noon, and we will also be welcoming Chris Gerhardt from Dublin Pride. I hope I am pronouncing the surname correctly, Gerhardt, and Kate Moynihan from LINK. You're all very welcome. Chris joined the Dublin Pride team in November 2020 after graduating from UCD with an MA in Cultural Policy and Arts Management. Initially starting as Communications Assistant, Chris has since taken on the role of Cultural Programming and Training Manager at Pride. Over the years, they've worked with various arts organisations, festivals and non-profits in their native Austria, Germany, and also Germany and Ireland. Hi, Chris. How are you doing?
Hiya. I'm really good. How are you?
I'm very good. And Kate, where is your introduction, Kate? I seem to have misled that, but I know Kate works in LINK. Kate, tell us a tiny bit about yourself because I've lost your introduction.
That's okay, and I was probably late sending it in. So
you can talk about yourself for a minute there, Kate.
Can I have the rest of the time to talk about myself? I'm the coordinator of LINK. We're an organisation based in Cork that work with lesbian and bisexual women.
Great. And Chris had joined us earlier on and is part of the team who created this report. Chris, I'm coming to you first of all. What does the report tell us about support for hate crime legislation in Ireland?
So it shows that there's overwhelming support, at least among the participants in this survey. There was 90% of the participants agreed that the government should ensure that hate crimes against LGBTI plus people are adequately addressed in our laws, and just 5% of people disagreed with that. So there's clearly a mandate for progress in this area, according to this research anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to state a fact that was given to me by my colleague Adam, which said Ireland is one of the very few European Western jurisdictions with no hate crime legislation whatsoever. And just to be clear, incitement to hatred and hate speech is a separate topic and covered by the 1989 Act, which is due to be updated. And Chris Gerhardt, the survey found huge support for hate crime legislation with 90% of the participants in favour. What do you think hate crime legislation would mean for our communities?
Yeah, so first of all, it's great to see that there's so much support out there. And like you said, Ireland's kind of behind in that sense compared to other Western European or other European countries. So I think, part of why we do Pride and why we kind of have an LGBTQ movement is to fight for recognition and is to fight for the right to be safe in our homes and in our streets. And just live our lives, and I suppose this hate crime legislation would be a step towards that, and would make sure that we are safe and that there are laws in place to protect us. So I think that in itself is a very powerful and positive thing for our movement to have.
Yeah. And what do you see the role of Dublin Pride and other prides around the country in opposing hate crime?
Well, I suppose Pride as a protest and as a celebration, it's always been such a great platform for people to kind of highlight that we are here, that we're proud, and that we have a right, just as much of a right to be heard and respected and loved as well than our queer or straight heterosexual cisgender counterparts. And I think that prides especially can kind of be a good way of promoting that kind of like acceptance and making sure that that the public, the wider public, gets to experience and gets to join us in our celebration. And it's just a good way of showing that we want won't back down, basically, and we won't stop until we have achieved not just equality but equity and belonging as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Kate, can you tell us a bit about the kinds of support that are available for victims of hate crime from organisations like LINK?
Thanks, Anna. I suppose first just to congratulate the NXF on this report, because it's really important and timely. I suppose we're coming up to, the 7-year anniversary of marriage equality, so it's great to have this type of data. And while we see, that those attitudes have improved, and it's great to see that obviously there's still work to be done, unfortunately. So in relation to hate crime then itself, so I was reading recently on the department website, where it describes what hate crime is. So it's what they've said is that it's a message to the victim and to other people like them that they're not safe, not wanted, or somehow not a real member of Irish society who's entitled to the same protections or the same freedoms as other people. So in LINK, we try to counteract that message, really, and by welcoming people to a place where they're safe, wanted, and a real member of Irish society. And they are entitled to the same freedoms as other people. So what we do really is we can offer one-to-one support. So if you're dropping into us, or you're contacting us, or you're sending us an email, we will welcome you openly into our arms, and to support you. So whether that's we put on the kettle if you come in, have a chat, and you're listened to and heard, which I think is really key and really important. And we'll offer you support to contact the Gardaí, and if you need us to go to see the Gardaí with you, we'll do that. And while we'll encourage you to go and report it, it'll always be your decision. We also have a low-cost counselling service, which we offer to members of our community if that type of service is needed. I think community supports are so important in these areas, that you're not alone, that we're there for you.
Yeah, because I can imagine at times there is a reluctance to talk about or to come forward if you are a victim of a hate crime. Kate, LINK also advocates for lesbian and bisexual women in Ireland and more broadly for better social inclusion policy and practice. So what can we as a community do to support these aims?
I think, following on just from what I said, Anna, was, that we need to support each other and encourage each other. That whole thing about reporting, there is a culture there of not reporting, and for very good reason. Our experiences in the past where we weren't listened to, ignored, or worse. So it's really important to try and change that culture. So if you can support your friends, your family, whatever member of the LGBTI plus community that has experienced the hate crime or homophobic, biphobic, transphobic attacks, that we can support them to report, bring them in, support them to come into an organization like LINK or any of the other groups or organizations that are there. So that so again, like that, they're not alone. It's really important to get the data that it's recorded, that hate crime is recorded. And so that can be used to build on and to know the experiences of people, because at the moment, while it's talked about within other communities, we hear about racism, and lots of our community experience racism. For other LGBT people, that's not, everybody thinks it's okay for us, where everything's fine now. And that type of crime, a lot of the time they think it isn't there. So I think it's really important to record data and support people to do that.
Sure. I wonder, is there anything, just to read out a couple of more facts. Government have published a draft heads of bill which proposes to legislate against hate crime. And crucially, it appears fully LGBT plus inclusive. And so I suppose the question to you all is, how can we ensure any new law is truly effective rather than merely symbolic? Chris, do you have any thoughts on this?
I think putting pressure on the government to craft the legislation in that way to make sure that it's applied, and also to follow up on some of the good work that's being done by community organizations in the LGBT plus sector in engaging with the guards. There have been some meetings over the past few years that have been quite productive in terms of engaging the Gardaí and getting them to learn more about experiences of our community. And obviously there's a long history of distrust between our community and police in general within this country and beyond, and there's a very good reason for that lack of trust. But you know,
but I suppose coming back to the report, Chris, hammering home that point, that 90%, that figure in favor of hate crime laws. I think that's quite a staggering statistic.
Absolutely, and having having legislators who understand that level of support is there, and then people who are on the ground implementing these laws, understanding that as well is vital.
Okay, great. I think that's all for this evening. I would like to thank the three of you for joining this discussion. Thank you, Chris and Kate. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Anna.